So now the next video, this video, we're gonna be, sorry, it's getting hot here. It's summertime here in California and it's basically a desert here. But today we're gonna be looking at the Battle of the Bridge from the early Muslim expansion by kings and generals.
Arabs headed to Damascus and reached it in early October. Apparently, Abu Ubaidah already received the messenger from the Caliph and informed Khalid of his demotion.
Again, in my opinion, still a really bad decision to demote or even remove Khalid from, command. I think that's just dumb, personally. I don't think a man this talented should be removed, but that's what Umar wants to do.
According to sources, the latter accepted it without much protest, but it did change the flow of the Caliphate's expansion in the region. Abu Ubaidah was much slower and more deliberate than Khalid. Umar preferred a more hands-on approach to the armies, often issuing orders after every engagement, which slowed down the campaigns due to the distance to Medina. He even placed informers in the army, which made Abu Ubaidah even more careful in his decisions. At the same time, the Muslims received some reinforcements, bringing the total number of their troops to 30,000. However, that wasn't the only change in...
I don't know much about Umar. I don't know anything about him. For all I know, he probably had a great reign as Caliph, and he probably might be one of the best. Again, I don't know, but I don't agree with the idea of demoting Khalid, and I think they have lost their biggest advantage, which is speed. Like, the last Caliphate just let Khalid do what he needed to do, and it worked out perfectly. But, now it seems like they're moving slower, and that will give the enemy more time to, catch a breather. You know what I mean? And this new commander who has taken charge he's more deliberate, but now he's more cautious and worried, and I feel like the Muslims need to keep pressing their speed and their aggression like they were with Khalid. So I think this is not a good... This doesn't look good, in my opinion, though at least they got reinforced, so their numbers are bigger, so that's good, but that's so far the only good. But again, maybe this will all work out, I don't know, but it seems like Umar is gonna start making things go slower than they should, and under Khalid they were basically blitzing, so I feel like this might just give the enemy more time to just, reinforce and catch a breather, right? So, I don't know.
Command made by Umar, which brings us back to Iraq, where Khalid left Muthanna in charge of a 9,000 strong army in 634. For the next few months, Muthanna, whose numbers weren't enough to conquer any more lands, implemented the tactic of raids in order to keep the superior Sassanid forces at bay. The details are lost to time, but the Sassanids, who were used to fighting in pitched battles, were having a difficult time containing the raids, and one of them even reached Babylon. The best Sassanid commander, Rostam, who basically controlled the court of the 10-year-old Shah Yazdegerd, was reluctant to leave the capital, worried that it might incite another revolt. But Muthanna's raids were too dangerous, so the general decided to take command over the forces in Iraq and marched south, supported by the Sassanid generals Bahman, Jaban and Nasi, and the Armenian noble Jalinus. Even before this multi-pronged counterattack began, Muthanna knew that he needed reinforcements and sent a messenger to the capital. By August, this messenger was in Medina, just in time for the ascension of Umar. The new caliph appointed Abu Ubaid, not to be confused with Abu Ubaidah, to command in Iraq and gave him 6,000 or so troops to reinforce Muthanna. The latter was now informed of the Sassanid counterattack, and when Jaban got close to Al-Hira in late September, the Arab commander abandoned it, retreating to Kafan. By early October, Abu Ubaid joined him, bringing the total strength of the Caliphate's force to more than 15,000, a similar number to that commanded by Jaban, who crossed the Euphrates and was now at Namarik. The details of the battle at Namarik are not clear, but it seems that Jaban suffered a minor defeat and was forced to retreat beyond the river. Abu Ubaid decided.
Yeah, I kind of like that we're focusing away from Khalid, because so far Khalid's basically been the main character and has just been winning non-stop every battle. It's kind of nice to see what other Muslim commanders will be capable of, but this is a pretty bad situation, you know? Like, the Sassanids have now regrouped and they're going for it, so it's now up to Abu to basically hold it down, you know?
Decided to fight the approaching Sassanid armies in detail and marched north towards Kaskar, hoping to defeat the smaller army under Nasi and knock him out. Although the Muslims won again, the Persian army managed to retreat mostly intact, and Abu Ubaid, who knew that Jalinus might cut his retreat to Al-Hira, moved his army double time to prevent this from happening. Indeed, the army of the Caliphate reached the city before Jalinus blocked them. The closest Sassanid armies to Al-Hira were those of Jalinus and Bahman. A letter from Rostam ordered them to unite their troops, cross the Euphrates, and attack the city. In late October of 634, their united armies, numbering around 20,000, attempted to force the river near Kufa, but Abu Ubaid and his 15,000 were able to halt this crossing. For some time, the armies stood in front of each other screaming insults, until a Sassanid emissary approached Abu Ubaid with Bahman's message: "Either you cross over to our side and we shall let you, or we shall cross over to your side and you must let us." Although his officers protested it, Abu Ubaid was eager to cross and fight in a pitched battle, so he ordered his army to do that. Seeing this, Bahman repositioned his troops slightly to the north, allowing the Muslims to move across and form up.
Okay, Abu's going for it, so he needs to quickly defeat these guys, right? He does not have the advantage of just being leisurely, I think. He defeated one commander, but he didn't crush him. That's the thing. So he needs a decisive victory to put an end to this, right? And I noticed the war elephants, yes. It's gonna kind of be cool to see the war elephants and just see how the Muslims handle that. I don't think they've come across war elephants yet. But yeah, like I said, I don't know what Abu's made of, but we're gonna have to see, man.
Unlike previous battles, the Persians had a dozen or so elephants, and they were placed in the vanguard with heavy cavalry between them and the infantry in the second echelon. Abu Ubaid's army crossed the river in 2 hours and started to get into formation, once again with horsemen in front and the footmen in the second line. Bahman continued to wait, and it was Abu Ubaid who gave the order to his soldiers to attack. The Arab cavalry galloped forward, but their horses were scared of the elephants, probably seeing them for the first time, and the charge stopped before it managed to reach the Sassanid lines. In response, Bahman moved his archers to the front and commanded them.
Again, yeah, the Muslims haven't fought the war elephants. When you know how to deal with war elephants, they become a non-issue, but again, they haven't dealt with them specifically, so the war elephants can do their main advantage, which is to shock the enemy, right? And the horses aren't used to them, so now, like I said, this was risky, man. Like, he needed to put an end to this quickly, but he again, like, he's kind of gambling it all on the line with this battle. And so far, not a strong start for the Muslims.
To shoot at the retreating Arabs. The volleys killed and wounded many, and when the leaders of the army of the Caliphate attempted to move their archers forward to start skirmishing, the whole Arab line became chaotic and disjointed. The Persian commander used that, and directed his cavalry and elephants to attack. While the cavalry was mostly stopped, the elephants easily created wedges everywhere they struck. The Arab army was slowly but surely forced back.
Yeah. The thing is, war elephants, like I said, we've covered them a lot. There are many ways to scare or, like, easily defeat war elephants. Like, enemies like the Romans who got used to them found ways to just completely make war elephants kind of more of a gimmick. I think war elephants, their biggest strength is their shock. They're like shock units in a sense. When enemies who don't know how to deal with them come across them, they're really effective in breaking lines and just disrupting and scaring the enemy and the horses. And yeah, the Muslims haven't dealt with them, so like this is how the war elephant is effective. Mainly against enemies who aren't used to fighting them, you know? It's probably when they're at their best, as we're seeing here. And Abu doesn't seem to know how to deal with them. Like, this has just been a floundering, you know? His charge was stopped, his lines are disrupted, and the elephants are just wreaking havoc.
Back. The presence of the elephants was panicking the horses, so in order to stabilize the front, Abu Ubaid commanded his horsemen to dismount. He led a group of warriors himself, killing a few elephants and their entourages.
Oh wow.
However, another elephant was sent towards the Arab leader, and soon he was killed by the beast.
Oh.
Many other Muslims...
Imagine being stomped by an elephant, what an awful way to go, you know? But man, like I said, I didn't know what Abu was capable of, but yeah, again, he was no Khalid. Not even close, so... Wow, this might be the first Muslim L of the series, holy crap.
Muslim leaders were killed, and their army started fleeing in chaos, and the Sassanids started chasing them. Muthanna was one of the last remaining commanders, and he achieved some degree of discipline and organization at the crossing, leading the rearguard and allowing the remainder of the army to retreat. He was badly wounded during the fight, but his actions saved thousands. The Battle of the Bridge was the first battle the Persians won in this war. More than 10,000 Muslims lay dead, while the Sassanid casualties were around 2,000. Over the following...
And that's where we're gonna end the video, guys. Holy crap, the Muslims' first L. I don't know how... I guess we'll see how the Sassanids capitalize on this. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.